Part 122. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziwei. Chapter 1221. Lord Snowhawk. Dragon Legend. Super Soldier. Cultivation of Rain and Clouds. Budo Supreme. King Yanjai. My neighbor is a banshee. Xianmu Legend. Zantai Linglan, it's not. Yinzu Shenjun swallowed hard, not knowing what to say for a while. He even felt that a horrible person was staring at himself. What's not, isn't it just to say a few words one step at a time, and you have a 7-star step on your body? If you want to escape, they can't help you. So afraid of becoming like this, Zantai Linglan thinks that the silver candle is real no matter what. Let him say a few pretends can actually scare his face cramps. This original effect is 10%, so is it at most 80%? Chang Sun Zairu, presumably you have heard my proposal. If you promise to be my fellow mate, presumably between our two alliances, you will be able to turn it into a jade silk. How about this fairy flower I picked for you? In order to make up for the loss of the Silver Candle King, Zantai Linglan flicked his hair and put on a posture that he thought was the most elegant. He immediately said this to Zihai City, and the unique light of his body flashed. Flash. Dear friends, I don't know if I am satisfied with these congratulations. At the end, Zantai Linglan added such a sentence. Satisfied, very satisfied. Chang Sun Zairu laughed, his face glowed with rosy smiles, his heart full of joy. Zantai Linglan Yinzu Shenjun couldn't help but swallowed again, to remind Zantai Linglan is not what you think. Okay, no need to explain, maybe you are the one who changed me, maybe you will be afraid. Zantai Linglan was very generous and patted the silver candle god, indicating that he should stop talking nonsense. The expression of Chang Sun Zairu made him feel a little strange, and he had also seen Chang Sun Zairu in the Battle of Kairguang City before, and he did have some intentions about Chang Sun Zairu, so he only said that he was a monk, but now Sun Zairu seems to be extraordinarily glamorous, which makes him really a little bit tempted. Is this the uniqueness of Chang Sun Zairu's rebirth? No, Silver Candle God is a little anxious and continues. What is it? Zantai Linglan stared at Chang Sun Zairu, too impatient. I can also consider your proposal to become an escort at this moment. Chang Sun Zairu laughed again, his heart bursting out of laughter, as if all the flowers in the world were suddenly at this time full bloom. Really, Zantai Linglan was stunned for a long time. The elder Sun Zairu really made him a little unexpected. You pee first according to your own way, and then kneel down and beg me, maybe I can consider it. Chang Sun Zairu also got upset, he smiled and nodded seriously. Boom. Although the elder Sun Zairu's words were a little vulgar, but with the previous 3 congratulations, the appearance of Zantai Linglan was too fun. And now looking at these powerful looks in his own league, all the monks of the Tianqian League know that there will be no problem with at least dealing with Zantai Linglan, so all of them burst out laughing for a while. The Zihai Conference has the joy of a truly grand event. Zantai Linglan suddenly turned his head. But he has become a real fairy, the cultivation of the real fairy. These people dare to laugh at the real fairy together? Zantai Linglan is not like this. The 10,000 sent were not their monks, but our monks, and they sent not the extremely yin god, but the blood rain god, the 4 of them, and us. The great forbidden city of Jinding Mountain's glazed gold pagoda was also broken, and even the tower was taken over. The of silver candles, seeing Zantai Linglan, still can't figure out the state at all, and finally can't stand it anymore. Cried. What 10,000 are not their monks, but our monks? Do we send our people to them as congratulations? What is not the Yin Yin Prince but the Blood Rain Prince, and the Jinding Mountain Liulai big forbidden people are broken? What nonsense are you talking about? But what made Yinzu Shenjun almost fainted was that Zantai Linglan heard him say that looking at him was like watching an idiot. In addition to surprise and disbelief, Xian Yalan and Li Ruohe and others have already settled in their hearts. When they saw Zhantai Linglan, they just smiled and did not say anything. However, Chang Sun Ziru's mood was unprecedentedly brilliant. He stretched out his hand and photographed Yezaime, the imprisoned Beiming prince, from the palace behind him, and said with a smile, "Zhantai Linglan, your hello, brothers." Yezaime. Zhantai Linglan was completely stunned, and his head could not turn at all for a moment. Zhantai Linglan, the other party does not know what powerful power, not only captured the blood rain god, but also arrested Yezaime. Yinzu Shenjun saw Zhantai Linglan like this, it was really about to crying, he repeatedly heard the sound to Zhantai Linglan's ears. What, some people in the Tianqian League can actually capture the blood rain god? They are not counted, even Yezaime is invincible, and they are all captured, Zhantai Linglan hissed and gasped. Chang Sun Jing, Chang Sun Ziru, Yu Tianqian Meng actually came out with such a character? Who is it in the end? No need to hide his head and show his tail. After taking a breath, Zhantai Linglan immediately screamed. He came to Zihai City this time to show his strength and completely disintegrate the morale of the Tianqian League. It is false to want to form a buddy with Chang Sun Ziru. After all, it is impossible for Chang Sun Ziru to promise to be his buddy, but now the other party suddenly appears. A powerful character, at least the 5 peaks of Shenxian, and it is possible to catch Yezaime. And in this way, it is difficult for him to break into Zihai City. Yao Yanggui is of no use at all. Is it that Huang Daijun's old ghost hasn't died? Suddenly, Zhantai Linglan thought of another possibility and cried out. Speaking of this person is also an old man, but it is not the predecessor of Huang Daijun. Chang Sun Ziru's smile is as brilliant as the spring, it's just that he doesn't want people to know who he is, so I can't tell you. An old friend of mine, not Huang Daijun. Who is it? Zhantai Linglan was stunned. Grilled jialong rule, I don't like to eat. Zhantai Linglan has a thick-skinned LA just for you to eat. LA at this moment, a voice didn't know where to flutter and suddenly came. Swoosh. As this sound came, a black spot suddenly burst out of the clouds in the distance and shot towards Zhantai Linglan, getting bigger and bigger. Puff. The shot did not have much power, and it was directly fixed by the breath emanating from Zhantai Linglan not far from Zhantai Linglan. Everyone was stunned. This shot was actually a monster leg larger than the people in Zhantai Linglan, and it was still just roasted, and it was still steaming. Boom. I didn't see any movement of Zhantai Linglan, but my body was shocked. This roasted big demon leg has been shaken into fly ash, but Zhantai Linglan's face was completely ugly. The voice came, and Zhantai Linglan couldn't even perceive the other party's exact location. Even if this monster leg hit, he didn't even find the other party's existence. The other party seemed far beyond his perception. In other words, the other party's casting distance is far greater than him. Zhantai Linglan was inherited by the Void Taoist, and it is also a top-level celestial exercise. Coupled with the breakthrough of the real immortal, the consciousness is almost twice as high as the ordinary Shenxian 5 major powers, but the other party's knowledge is even stronger than him. How is this possible? Why, I've roasted this piece of meat for a long time anyway. Even if you don't want to eat it, you don't have to do it. You don't give me a face like this. A fluttering voice sounded again. Someone, pretend to be a ghost. Zhantai Linglan got suspicious and looked up. Don't read it. You can't find it with your own skills. Come and eat this group of things, and I will show you to see it with a wine. Another group of things flew into the air. Damn it, Zhantai Linglan has been repaired for more than 200 years, and it is not the frivolous youth of the past, but seeing this group of things, Zhantai Linglan still turned his mouth out of anger, and a fuchsia divine light came from him. Gushing in front of him, the group of things directly hit thousands of feet into flying ash. Ha ha. All the monks of the Xianmeng League in Zihai City laughed out loud again. This time the hidden power came over, but it was a group of monsters defecating. I don't know what kind of monster is pulling. Next. The rats who pretend to be ghosts, do the monks of the Tianqian League are all such unseemly rats. Zantai Linglan had originally flaunted his powers, and he was repeatedly ridiculed. His face was green, and he gave a shocking drink. The clouds are rolling, the gusts of wind are surging, and even numerous swaying wind blades are formed. The power of true immortality, the world changed color. For a time, the monks of the Xianmeng League in Zihai City were all awe-inspiring, and they laughed at once. This is what you asked me to come out, don't regret it. Then just then, a voice came from far away. A ray of flame emerged from the distant sky, but there was a Tsingyi monk coming from the sky. Everyone's voice disappeared. The eyes of Chang Sun Ziru and Xian Yalan were extremely eager. He really came back at this moment. Chang Sun Ziru felt like when he saw Wei Suo for the first time, he felt like he had become a girl at that time, and his eyes were filled with small stars again. What's my old man, is just a new divine power, pretending to be a ghost. Zantai Linglan gave a sneer. When the monk Xingyi came, he had felt for the first time that the monk Xingyi was full of blood, and his true bone age was very young. Come on, you just didn't give me a face, just eat this, and I will forgive you when you eat it. But the monk in blue shirt smiled slightly, and continued to walk towards Zantai Linglan, reaching for a shot back. I don't know from where, a large group of black shadows were taken out, but it was a large group, at least a few devil beasts of the size of Zantai Linglan. You like to eat so much, and I will let you eat it. Zantai Linglan can't stand it anymore. He reached out and grabbed 5 light blue divine lights directly in his hands. A flash in front of him disappeared directly. Laugh. Almost at the same time, these 5 light blue divine lights have already appeared around the body of the monk in the blue shirt. If any chapter content is not displayed, please visit to read. Tip: you can search for 0.academy00sy or 00sy in Baidu to visit this site. The site address is. To facilitate reading this book next time, you can click Add Bookmark below to record this reading record, and you can directly read this chapter next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Remember that the more updates you share, the faster. Mobile phone users, please visit Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 1222. Lord Snowhawk. Dragon Legend. Super Soldier. Cultivation of Rain and Clouds. Budo Supreme. King Yanjai. My neighbor is a banshee. Xianmu Legend. What? Many Xianmeng monks in Zihai City couldn't help but exclaimed. Since the monks of the blue shirt appeared, all the monks of the Xianmeng League in Zihai City knew that there would be a terrifying battle immediately, and it was a real peak showdown. Except for those who knew Wei Suo's true identity, such as Chang Sun Ziru, all the rest the monks of the Xianmeng League in Zihai City are already nervous. But now, seeing the shot of Zantai Linglan, the power of true immortality is unimaginable. The 5 pale cyan divine lights directly shuttle through the void, so fast that it can't react at all. And the power of these 5 pale blue divine lights is extremely amazing. As soon as they appeared outside the Tsingyi monk, the air surrounding each divine light exploded, as if there were 5 desolate giant beasts at the same time. Monk. Oh! In the exclamation of the monks of the Xianmeng League in the West Sea City, I saw that the black shirt flashed a black fire outside the monk, but it was smashed by 5 light blue gods, and the 5 light blue gods were strong. Hit on the Qingshen scribe, the Qingshui scribe had a strange cry, 5 blood flashed on his body, and his legs kicked. What? Upon seeing such a scene, even Yuxin Lan and others who knew Wei Suo's identity could not help but exclaimed. Ha ha! The tone is so big. It turned out to be a silver gun wax head. At most, it was only the magic power of the mid-5 years of Shenxian, and as soon as he saw such a scene, Zantai Linglan shouted suddenly and reached for a hand. With a clatter, a pale white light was like a river of heaven, and it rolled out 1,000 miles in an instant. Weiso, who was still dressed as a monk with a wax yellow face and a large group of monsters and stools behind him, rolled to the front. "Want to let me eat? You eat enough." Just a moment, 1,000 miles away, less than 1,000 feet in front of you, Zantai Linglan laughed loudly, reached out a little, a pale white divine light rushed, true immortal breath. However, he wanted to break Weisuo into the huge pile of monster beasts that Weisuo didn't know from. "Ah," in the Zihai city, many monks of the Xianmeng League exclaimed again. They couldn't understand it. Only the monk in this blue shirt had such a big tone. How could it be so uncomfortable when he fought? Did he really look down on Zantai Ling? Ian's true fairy power? Haha, tease you for a while, you still take it seriously. But at this moment, it seemed that his body was almost cut into pieces. The dying monk suddenly laughed and resurrected on the spot, and immediately came to Zantai Linglan. At the moment, there are many people in Zihai city watching this battle with their instruments, but up to this moment, these talents have clearly seen that although this monk in blue shirt looks like blood is flowing, the vest is broken, very miserable, but it is broken under the vest, there was a slight wound on his body. I don't know what blood or monster he used, or what means he used. Even Zantai Linglan didn't find that he was cheating. You must know that the perception of Zantai Linglan cannot be deceived simply because of the appearance of serious injuries. If you want to deceive Zantai Linglan, you must at least control the qi and blood and the breath of Zhenyuan to be weak. Status. This not only requires a special mysterious cooperation, but at least the casting speed is above the Zantai Linglan. After all, he also inspired a black firelight jurisdiction to block the Zantai Linglan, and then at that moment, used the means deceived Zantai Linglan. Such a casting speed, such power can hit the body but there is no damage, there is such a magical power, then it is really like what he said, it is simply playing with Zantai Linglan. What? Zantai Linglan himself was already prepared to see the miserable kind of man who was smashed into the pile of stinky monster beasts by himself. How could he think that suddenly this man was resurrected in situ, directly in front of his own eyes, and it's less than a foot away from myself, it's almost like my eyes are squinting, seeing the other person squeezing his eyes towards him, his cold hairs are all erected, a buzzing sound, the vibration of the void. One gourd after another the translucent pale golden light mass of shape appeared instantly outside him, and a terrifying power pressed towards Weisuo. This is the true power of true fairy. At this moment, most of the Xianmeng monks in Zihai city were horrified in their hearts, and there was a feeling of powerlessness. The shocking air machine made them unable to contend, and they would be pressed into the invincible abyss. Feel. Every gourd-shaped divine light group is almost like a divine power domain, so many superpowers of the jurisdiction are superimposed together. An old man of Jingxuan's fourfold Tianqian League was cold all over. The true immortal is the most powerful, and the powerful true immortal is like the superposition of the power of countless mysterious metaphysical powers that has evolved with one person's power. No matter in any era, true immortals are legends in the monastic world. Boom. But what caused everyone's breath to stop for an instant was that Weisuo's infinite red light and silver divine light flowed out, one black and one white, two domain powers turned out, and when he was crushed, one of his fists, but therefore, he broke the situation of the world and slammed into the sky that burst into the turbulent sky, punched through the furious Shinwei collision between the two, and hit the body of Zantai Linglan fiercely. Click. The vest on Zantai Linglan's body also burst in an instant, and the entire chest collapsed and was beaten back. A real true fairy was blown out by a blow. Ah! All the monks in Zihai city were completely shocked, unable to make a sound. They saw that Weisuo's body was also thrown out by the huge power, but Weisuo's body still did not have a trace of scars. The true immortal power did not cause any damage to him at all, and this at that time, in the mouth of Zantai Linglan, countless jade-like brilliances and endless spirits were spouting wildly. Even more terrifying is that at the moment when these two sides hit, there is a seemingly more terrifying gas machine in Wei Suo's body. This kind of gas machine is similar to the real fairy, but it seems to be more amazing than the real fairy. How is this possible? Zantai Linglan was completely beaten silly. What's the power of Zhengxian's full blow? Others don't know, does he who has already broken through to Zhenxian? From Jindan to Shenxian, the most important thing is the metamorphosis of the flesh and the formation of the Shenxian Dharma body. The true element of the true fairy, the ancient saying is the fairy element, compared with the true element of the Shenxian and the fairy element of the true fairy, it is the difference between the water and the iron melt of the god. The magical powers and powers of this area that have been inspired are completely multiplied. This is also a 5-level power of the divine mystery. It may be difficult to face the 4-level power of the divine profound, but a bunch of ordinary 3-level and 4-level power of the divine profound cannot deal with the existence of the ancient emperor corpse. Because several Shenxian 4 major powers work together, it is very likely to block the magic power of Shenxian 5 major powers, but it is difficult to resist the true immortal blow. Even if the carcasses made by several kinds of irons are smashed by themselves, they must be smashed, but their all-out blows have not caused any damage to the other person's body. How is this possible? Unless it's more than 200 years ago, that who can hardly resist heaven's catastrophe with his physical body. The thought of Wei Suo, Zantai Linglan unconsciously shivered again. A transparent crack in the space became apparent and twisted towards Wei Suo. Xiao Lanlan, do you still want to resist? But Wei Suo already knew that the crack in this transparent space was coming. It was just a flurry, which directly avoided the blow of Zantai Linglan. He came to Zantai Linglan again. What? Zantai Linglan saw Wei Suo, who suddenly appeared in front of him and smiled at him. His hair really stood up. Void Great Brahma. A transparent elliptical mirror like Xuanhuan was revealed outside the body of Zantai Linglan. Wei Suo was set in the air. Rather than being confined in the air, it is better to say that Wei Suo kept passing through the same radiance as a transparent oval mirror, but stayed in place every time it passed through. This feeling is like running in the fog, but running for a while and then back to the same place. Zantai Linglan's body seemed to become dozens of springs all at once, and all kinds of vitality laws with a fearful atmosphere manifested outside his body. It seemed that there were dozens of divine swords, and Wei Suo, who was fixed in the air, kept chopping. It seemed that Wei Suo was extremely miserable, as pitiful as the bound white mouse, about to be cut to pieces. But at the same time, Zantai Linglan, who seemed to have the upper hand and desperately stimulated various powers to kill Wei Suo, was cold and sweaty. He played it well, but no matter what means or power he used, he couldn't touch Wei Suo at all, and Wei Suo's body didn't even have an obvious scar or crack. Instead, he tried his best to stimulate the Void Deo Supreme Secret, and the power of the Vatican realm was shattered by him. It's so cool, while twisting his body, Wei Suo actually said such a sentence. What? Seeing that Wei Suo was able to come out, Zantai Linglan was scared and shouted without any real immortality. At the same time, he wanted to inspire the Vatican realm again. At least we can sleep, Wei Suo, but at this time, he saw Wei Suo shook his head at him, whispering in a voice that only the two of them could hear, "Don't waste your energy, heaven tribulation will not move me, you still kill me." This voice is somewhat familiar, and this tone and words instantly made Zantai Linglan's body slam, and a figure appeared in his mind, and his spell suddenly stopped. Snapped. Wei Suo didn't pause at all. He smiled and burst into an explosion. His punch has once again hit the Zantai Linglan. Zantai Linglan flew out again, screaming terribly. What is it? It's tired to see you spraying so many things for a long time, so let's eat something before talking. But Wei Suo's movements are extremely coherent, it seems that they are already. Zantai Linglan's voice is only just now, a glory of light came, and the huge pile of monster beasts had been condensed into a goose egg size by Weisuo. It seemed to be more explanation and more solid, just like a piece of fine gold. All at once Weisuo broke into Zantai Linglan's mouth. At this moment, Zantai Linglan didn't even know who Weisuo was. It was not even counted, and even the blood and spirit that spewed out of his mouth were blocked. If any chapter content is not displayed, please visit to read. Tip: you can search for 0.academy00sy or 00sy in Baidu to visit this site. The site address is. To facilitate reading this book next time, you can click Add Bookmark below to record this reading record, and you can directly read this chapter next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Remember that the more updates you share, the faster. Mobile phone users, please visit. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Zy. Chapter 1223. Lord Snowhawk. Dragon Legend. Super Soldier. Cultivation of Rain and Clouds. Budo Supreme. King Yanjai. My neighbor is a banshee. Xianmu Legend. Ah. 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 This time, not only the silver candle on the side of the Anti-Fire Alliance, but even the monks of the Xianmeng in the Zihai city are going to be completely crazy. A real true fairy was even blocked by a group of monster beasts. If this is recorded in the classics, everyone who sees it may think that it is simply absurd and extreme, and then scolded the 18th generation of the monk ancestor who wrote the classics. What kind of existence is true fairy? In any era of monasticism, there must be something to look forward to. Even if there is a more powerful power, it is possible to fight a real true fairy without any counterattack. How can that level of power be so leisurely, so lacking in the style of a big man, and play the devil's stool kind of stuff? This is not a self-proclaimed identity. It's like an adult playing with mud, playing a house. Haha, but Chang Sun Ziru laughed instead, laughing like a lady without a ladylike look, and smiling like the innocent girl with pigtails back then. If like other great powers in the legend, the idol is not her idol. Xian Yalan couldn't help laughing. This is Weisuo's style. When she saw Weisuo for the first time, Weisuo and the young master, she hadn't even remembered her face, even pretending to fool the other side to bet. Weisuo is like this now, that is the style of that small profiteer in Lingyu City. Well. Zantai Linglan was frightened, injured, and tangled. He was horrified because how could someone who had fallen for more than 200 years suddenly appear in front of him? How can this person not die? Dead. 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 Zantai Linglan too hoped that Weisuo was dead, and at this moment his mind was almost echoing. What hurts him is that Weisuo's first blow was about to kill him, and this second punch made him feel that his stomach had been penetrated. It is estimated that with such a punch again, his fairy won't work at all. What he struggled with was whether he should spit out the mass in his mouth first. Weisuo is not far in front of him. This little distance is not a distance for the other party, and the other party's consciousness and attack speed are really asking people to ask if the gods have reason. This spit of mine always consumes a little time, so under the thought in my mind, Zantai Linglan feels that he still should not waste any trace of time and energy, so that the group of things is in the mouth. Anyway, it is just a stool of monsters compressed like stones, and it is not a highly toxic substance, not an extinct Jindan. Boo, so everyone only saw a flash of golden light on his body, stuffed with that mass of things in his mouth, which had always seemed to have disappeared. The golden gourd appeared again under him. You are ruthless, but what can you do to me? In the gaze of Zantai Linglan, who was stuffed with that mass of things in his mouth, looking at Weisuo, the void golden gourd flickered for the first time and brought with him he disappeared into the void. Puff. Yu made the void golden gourd escape into the void, and Xantai Linglan finally spit out a mass of good things in his mouth, licking the corner of his mouth. Damn, I still want to let me eat, not vomited by me out. Ah, but at this moment, he was so shocked that he opened his mouth wide, inhaled, and almost directly ate the mass that he had just spit out again. At this moment, he saw him escape. Void Wei Suo smiled. Why, thought it would be alright to hide as before. Just as Wei Suo grumbled like this, Xantai Linglan suddenly felt that he was in the void golden gull. In the void, there seems to be an invisible wave shot through. And at this moment, Xantai Linglan had a feeling that Wei Suo could clearly see himself and the golden gourd across the void. In the void where he and the golden gourd hung suddenly a blazing white fire. Overwhelming, flooding the entire void. This white magic fire filled the entire void, the heat can even melt the iron, and it is completely the most pure and pure sun-real fire condensation. What? Xantai Linglan's hair was erected again, and layers of milky white brilliance radiated from his body, fighting against the white magic fire. Can your true Yuan be endless? At this time, Xantai Linglan could not hear Wei Suo's voice, but with the unique power of the void golden gourd, Xantai Linglan could see Wei Suo's move. With a move, from Wei Suo's mouth shape, he could see what Wei Suo was saying to him now. This time, the psychology of Xantai Linglan suddenly collapsed. To be honest, he still has some panacea. True Yuan can support it for a while, but the white magic fire inspired by Wei Suo is pervasive. With an invisible wave that he can't touch, it is actually penetrated. The glorious light from him burned towards him and the golden gourd. Just in this breath, he already felt that he was going to be roasted. Ah, with a harsh scream, Xantai Linglan escaped from the void with a fiery breath. The golden void of the void was directly reached by him and hit Wei Suo, but he escaped desperately. In doing so, he wanted to use the void golden gourd to attract Wei Suo's attention so that he and Wei Suo could be separated. Oh! It is still useless if you come to Shen Mang. What is there in your body that can resist the intrusion of the consciousness? Wei Suo was determined this time not to let Xantai Linglan out of the clean sand space. He came out, knowing that after more than 200 years passed, after Xantai Linglan turned over salted fish, apart from practicing the net mind sword, he spent the rest of his time practicing the celestial fire of the cave, as early as a few days ago, in order to make Xantai Linglan unable to run away. At present, such small tricks as Xantai Linglan simply do not pose any threat to him. Right now, regardless of the golden void of the void, it is a direct blow. But what made him grumble unpleasantly was that his astonishing blow had no effect on Xantai Linglan. There was a layer of invisible power that blocked the impact of his consciousness. But whispering back to whispering, Wei Suo was not idle at all. It was still the Emperor's disillusionment that made his first move, and then he followed the virtual footwork one step, and then went directly to the side of Xantai Linglan. The reason why he wanted to arouse the Emperor's disillusionment was to prevent people from recognizing the whole defying footwork. At this time, he found that it was really wonderful not to let people discover his identity. At least the other party would not be as enemies as soon as he heard who he was, and he prepared a lot of things to deal with. In the face of some guys who feel that they are eating steadily and find that they are not their opponents at all, the expression on their faces also looks very cool. Just like now Xantai Linglan. Now Xantai Linglan looked at Wei Suo, 3 points messy, 3 points crazy, 4 points fear. The expression on his face was like a grocery shop. To tell the truth, in the past 200 years, Xantai Linglan has also realized the power of many jurisdictions. After breaking through the true immortal, the magic power is still far superior to Weizhuo. If we know the true identity of Weizhuo, we will pull apart from Weizhuo. With distance, we can still use the magical power to force Wei Suo to never get in. But he was wrong. At first, he wanted to capture Wei Suo by his side. He was close to Wei Suo, but now he can't get rid of Wei Suo. With a crackling sound, Wei Suo did not have any hesitation at all, and it simultaneously evolved the Dengxian and Teiku fierce fire domains, reducing some of the true fairy powers inspired by the Zantai Linglan, fighting hard and punching hard. Smashed at the heart of Zantai Linglan. Although Zantai Linglan has broken through to the true immortal, but even with such a heavy blow, it can't bear it at all. With the sound of poo, a bunch of blood and spirits rushed out of the mouth like a ball. It was completely pierced, and the true fairy light on him shook and disappeared. Hey, seeing that Zantai Linglan had completely lost its resistance, Wei Suo was of course welcome, reaching for Xuanhuan to break into Zantai Linglan's body, and put a few restrictions on it. After these prohibitions were imposed, Wei Suo felt that Zantai Linglan's real Yuan was now more tyrannical than himself, and he was not insured. He simply broke into two ego swords. Strangled, twisted some of the main meridians in Zantai Linglan into a pool of mud, and felt that the vitality of Zantai Linglan was exhausted, and he clapped his hands with confidence, and he was done. Tai Linglan captured it. For the speed of Wei Suo and Zantai Linglan, this is also a matter of 1 or 2 breaths. All the monks of the Xianmeng League in Zihai City, including the Silver Candle who fled neither nor fled, just seeing the white light flooding the world and the white light disappearing, Wei Suo already stood in the void with Zantai Linglan, and Wei Suo has changed to a brand new ordinary Psi investment. Or do you still follow Tian Xuanhuan to eat meat? After capturing Zantai Linglan reappearing in everyone's eyes, Wei Suo looked at the Silver Candle who was trembling in the empty space next to him, and said this again. Good. Good. I eat meat. The Silver Candle god also collapsed completely, only thinking that Wei Suo was more terrible than the legendary extraterrestrial demon, and his legs were completely soft. Wei Suo glanced at the Silver Candle god, but he smiled at Zihai City. Dear friends, I haven't seen you for so many years. Don't come unharmed. At this point, the rest of the monks in Zihai City were still in complete shock, but Chang Sun Jing, Chang Sun Zairu, Li Ruohe, and others who had secretly known the real identity of Wei Suo, could no longer bear it, and they all plundered. He got up and surrounded Wei Suo. Brother Wei, where have you been for so many years? The old grandson Zairu throbbed in one heart, and his jade face was flushed, but the voice was already sobbing. In the past 200 years, she has also been accustomed to countless life and death, and has cultivated the 5 great powers of Shenxian. If any chapter content is not displayed, please visit to read. Tip: you can search for 0.academy00sy or 00sy in Baidu to visit this site. The site address is. To facilitate reading this book next time, you can click Add Bookmark below to record this reading record, and you can directly read this chapter next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Remember that the more updates you share, the faster. Mobile phone users please visit. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Zy. Chapter 1224. Lord Snowhawk. Dragon Legend. Super Soldier. Cultivation of Rain and Clouds. Budo Supreme. King Yanjai. My neighbor is a banshee. Xianmu Legend. It's a long story. How do I know that it's only been tens of days, and it's been more than 200 years since I came out? The little girl has grown like this. Wei Suo still laughed, but he was very sad. Senior Yuan Yin, are they healthy? They were on their way, and I was afraid that there would be so many people coming together. It was too shocking, and people guessed my identity at once. What the is going on? You still hide your identity, are there any concerns? That's not true. It's just that I found it easier to do things without letting others know my identity. For Wei Suo, it has only been a few days, but the world and people have changed, but for Chang Sun Jing and others, it is a real long-term reunion. After talking for a while, Chang Sun Jing and other talents felt that it was not appropriate to stay in the air to talk, So he calmed down slightly and took Wei Suo back to the Zihai conference venue to talk again. Next, the Zihai conference continued. Chang Sunjing and others just said that Wei Suo was an expert at the world and did not like to disclose his identity. He did not say that Wei Suo was the legendary domineering god, but all the monks of the Tianqian League. It is also known that Tianqian League's incredible help, coupled with the capture of the other two giants and several gods' great powers in a row, is equivalent to the disintegration of most of the Backfire League in one fell swoop. Naturally, everyone is excited. This time Zihai the conference was unprecedentedly warm and festive. What, you were driven into the sand net space of an ancient Buddhist sect, only for dozens of days inside, and it turned out that we had spent more than 200 years outside this place. After Wei Suo and Chang Sunjing and others sat down, they quickly explained their encounters, and Chang Sunjing and others were also very speechless. Senior Huang Daijun? Is he still there? Wei Suo quickly asked Huang Daijun. After all, like Xuanhuan's ancestors, Huang Daijun and others also gave him great help. Senior Huang Daijun has not fallen yet, but the situation is not optimistic. Chang Sun Jingshen took a breath. During the war of Kairguang City, he was hit hard by Yanbei. We can't cure him, we can only seal him first. In this way, Senior Huang Daijun is now seriously ill-treated and sealed by you, Wei Suo thought in his heart, and suddenly thought of the blue magic medicine in his hand, but he knew not to hurry at this time. He continued to ask, what happened to Kairguang City in the first battle? I also heard them mention this battle from the monks of the Backfire Alliance who I had captured before. And the rest of the people I know, are they still here? It's been only a few days for you. You should still remember the broken jade ancient territory. Hearing Wei Suo asked, the Jade Sect Master Yu Tian asked in reply. Hearing Feng Wukang and others are all fine, and now the Yushan Sect Master who is already an old man can hardly conceal his excitement. Suiyu ancient territory? The Battle of Kairguang City is related to this. Wei Suo suddenly heard the meaning of Yushan Sect Master's words. Good Sect Master Yushan explained, aren't we already in control of that place? Later, we got a broken map in that place, and relying on that map was outside the original Yuhang mainland. In the wilderness, a ruin of an ancient monk was found. That place, according to some annotations on the map, we are called Kairguang City. Later, when we entered the investigation, we found that there were not only some broken warehouses, but some left ancient refining materials and elixir, but the most important thing is that there is a peculiar broken ancient ban inside, which seems to be the layout of the 9-turn spirit liquid pool recorded in the classics. 9-turn spirit liquid pool layout. Wei Suo's eyes suddenly widened. Sect Master Yushan Sect's statement at this moment is slightly different from the previous statements of several Jindan monks in the Anti-Fire Alliance. A little bit of wind, naturally, what the Sect Master Yushan said is the truth. The 9-turn spirit liquid pool is sharp. In the past, when the old man in the green robe arranged the spirit array in Haixian City, it was mentioned that since the heavens and the earth broke down and the spirit veins were cut off, the spiritual energy in the monastery world was scattered between the heavens and the earth. Jindan breakthrough and Shenxian breakthrough, when a lot of the world's vitality is absorbed, it can absorb water like a whale, filtered to a little shrimp, and absorb a little of the world's aura, but there is a magic circle that is very powerful. It can meditate like tens of thousands of monks, like absorbing heaven and earth aura. Some heaven and earth auras are absorbed and converted into spirit fluid, which is stored. This magic circle is the layout of the 9-turn spirit liquid pool. Anyway, to make it simple, the 9-turn spirit liquid pool is equivalent to a man-made layout, and it can be used as a spiritual field to grow elixir. The elixir between heaven and earth is to absorb the aura that the monks cannot absorb. After a long time of accumulation, the aura can be accumulated into a powerful medicinal power. This is also the case with this 9-turn spirit liquid pool. After years of accumulation, a trace of spiritual energy is condensed into a drop of spirit liquid. It is said that the speed of accumulating spirit fluid in this 9-turn spirit pool is also very slow, but even if it produces a drop or two for decades, each drop is equivalent to an extremely pure fairy grass, which is of course extremely extreme for monks. It's amazing, and it's still extremely useful when it's a breakthrough. After all, most TND elixir will not grow out of place after being picked, and one plant will be one less when it is picked. This is after it is collected, and it will be bred as long as the time is long. This kind of magic circle is recorded in the classics, and it is difficult to collect many kinds of layouts. The nearly extinct crystals in the monastery world are naturally very rare. The sect master Yushin looked at Wei Suo's look and knew that Wei Suo was against 9. The layout of Xuanling liquid pool was somewhat understood, so I didn't explain this circle a lot, but just went on to say, at that time, the Anti-Fire Alliance also knew this news. In order to this place, naturally a war broke out. Originally, we were not afraid of the people in Zantai Linglan, but we don't know where they came from. A king of gods, Yan Yan, returned home. Not only is this man's skill and technique very strange, but he also has a strange immortal soldiers, not to mention the power that can be crushed by the other party, but also to use some of the crushed power to fight back. Under this man's sneak attack, the Huangdaijun was hit hard, and we were not enemies. If there was a Saint King sect master fighting hard to resist, we are afraid that none of us can escape. After taking a deep breath, the sect master Yushin looked at Wei Suo and said, "You also know those people, some senior figures of Dezong and Saint Wangzong, are destroying it." Fell during the world's frenzy. Su Shengxiu and Yulu Shenjun were later killed by Tianjiu Shenjun and Zantai Linglan during a sneak attack on the monk gathering point after the formation of the Anti-Fire Alliance. The Holy King sect master fell to Kairguang in the Battle of the City. Only the great powers you know now are still Wangwei, but he is now a gathering place for monks who have planted a lot of elixir in our place. Su Shengxiu and Yulu Shenjun both hung up, only Wangwei is left. Wei Suo's heart suddenly became depressed. Although Su Shengxiu and other people became their people after they were purged by God, they were at least like the younger brothers they collected, especially the Holy King sect master and others. Take a look at the Yushin sect master and others. Wei Suo knew that for Yushin sect master and others, they were their comrades, and they must have fought side by side many times in the time that the Sky Dome cracked into Kairguang City. Unexpectedly, they were killed by the deflated tribes like Tianjiu Shenjun and Zantai Linglan. Flying with the gourd flies, I didn't think I was away for so many years. You and Tianjiu Shenjun actually did so many things. As soon as I was upset, Wei Suo kicked Zantai Linglan and unleashed Zantai Linglan. A few prohibitions allowed Zantai Linglan to speak: don't yell, or you know the consequences. Play the gourd flies. Where are the heavenly 9 divine king and that divine king now? What is the origin of that divine king? Also, what is the status of Kairguang City? Zantai Linglan is now completely from the sky to the ground. The gap is too big. Opened his mouth, but called out, "If you let me go, I will tell you a secret." I'm doing. Wei Suo suddenly rolled his eyes. You still don't know the status of the gourd flies? Do you think you still have the qualification to talk to me about the conditions? I know you have Purdue God Light, but even if you transform me with Purdue God Light, I am afraid it will take a few days, and it will definitely be too late. Zantai Linglan shook his body, but still called immediately, "Tao, the secret I said is definitely extremely important to you." I don't care about any extremely important secrets or not extremely important secrets. Anyway, you will tell me any secrets immediately. Otherwise, your end will be ugly. Wei Suo looked like a traitor, watching Zantai Linglan. Then I won't say anything. Unless you promise to let me go and let me leave, you will deal with me with Purdue God's light. I won't say anything. Zantai Linglan was hysterical in general and shouted, fearing that he was dying. There was no point of true immortality at all. Then you don't have to say it. Wei Suo grinned at his teeth and grinned. He turned and asked Chang Sun Jing and Chang Sun Ziru and others, "Where is your biggest beast?" You must be able to produce a lot of stool in one day, some type of puff. The elder son Zairu laughed at once. It is estimated that so many monks from the past to the present, such as Weizhuo, who can casually talk about stools and the like, are all supernatural, and there is also a little profiteer, only her idol Weizhuo. What do you want to do? Chang's son Zairu couldn't help but laughed at once, but Zantai Linglan was completely faceless and shouted. What? What kind of real fairy? Wei Suolai took for granted, buy a real fairy in spring, and harvest many real fairy in autumn, buy you in the heap of monster beasts, and feed them with stool every day. You, so many monsters, must have enough fertilizer and should be able to grow well. Poof, this time even Lan Lan couldn't help but laugh. If any chapter content is not displayed, please visit to read. Tip: you can search for 0.academy00sy or 00sy in Baidu to visit this site. The site address is. To facilitate reading this book next time, you can click Add Bookmark below to record this reading record, and you can directly read this chapter next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Remember that the more updates you share, the faster. Mobile phone users, please visit Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 1225. Lord Snowhawk. Dragon Legend. Super Soldier. Cultivation of Rain and Clouds. Budo Supreme. King Yanjai. My neighbor is a banshee. Xianmu Legend. Wei Suo is not just talking about it, the Zihai conference is still in full swing. Wei Suo has already brought Li Ruohe and Xian Yalan to bring Zantai Linglan directly to a beast in Zihai city. What? As soon as he saw the beast bar in front of him, Zantai Linglan issued an unprecedented scream. Basically, after arriving at Jindan, the monks above Jindan naturally oscillated in their breath, so the dust would not fall and the dirt would be invaded. When he reached a place that was dirty and rotten again, even if Jindan got out and drilled in it for a few more days, the body was still clean. The monks above Jindan, so it is said that one is used to cleanliness, which is more difficult than ordinary monks. And Xian Yalan also intends to cooperate with Weizhuo. What Weizhuo brought to him was a shack that cultivated corpse iron eagles. This 4th level intermediate level raptor monster is famous for its large size, strong flying endurance, and can fly tens of thousands of miles at high speed. It is also known for its ability to eat and pull, and the meat it eats is the rotten meat of some small monsters. Fresh meat is not eaten. Originally, all the stalls were cared for by monks. Once they were pulled down, they were immediately burned by fire spells, but after Weizhuo and others arrived, the monks here did not deal with them, just for a moment. The 200 or 300 corpse meat iron eagles pulled out are enough to bury 4 or 5 Zantai Linglans. Moreover, the corpse iron eagle was pulled out, and it was still thin and smelly. This is how Zantai Linglan can stand it? How could it be possible to pull out so much in a moment? When I thought that I might be companion for these things I pulled out in the future, Zantai Linglan completely collapsed. I said all. Without waiting for Wei Suo to ask any more questions about the kind of true fairy, Zantai Linglan cried out again and again, as long as I don't bury me in the true fairy, I will say everything. You can't stand it if you just look at it? Anyway, you won't take the elixir, just grunt with your eyes closed and go on. Hearing Zantai Linglan just begged for mercy, but Wei Suo seemed very dissatisfied. He also said that it's only a while after taking the elixir, but you want to grow a true fairy. I have to say how many years I have to eat, can I finish it in one click? Or I have to say, so many corpse iron eagles pull so fast, I couldn't eat too much. Hearing Wei Suo said, Zantai Linglan was going tortured and was going crazy. He was almost mentally confused. He felt that he was a monk of the sea, not a true fairy. Everything was just done. Dream. Okay, for the sake of your regretful attitude, Let's not plant you as a fairy. Let's talk about the extremely important secrets that you just said, and tell them first. Wei Suo was so careless, that's all. It looks a bit surprising, but I feel that the secret that Xantai Linglan just said must be a bit extraordinary. Otherwise, he would not be in a hurry to bring Xantai Linglan to the stall to question. We backfire alliance and found an ancient ruin in Luoju wasteland, which may be related to many powerful inheritances. Xantai Linglan has completely lost his temper, and said this immediately. What? Luoju wasteland. The words of Xantai Linglan were exported, but Wei Suo was taken aback, almost choked by his saliva. What the is going on? Wei Suo really wanted to cry, which made people not alive and let them breathe free time before they came out of the Sheijing space. In the end, Luoju Wasteland was in trouble. The 4 characters of Luoju Wasteland were unknown to others, but he was very clear. Isn't I already told you that my inheritance comes from a blue arm and the empty golden gourd appearing at the same time? Later, in an unintentional conversation with Shenlan Wanyanbei, I found out his exercises and magic weapons were obtained from a monk named Song who was killed when he was in Jindan. He later obtained Jindan. He even rebuilt Jindan. Xantai Linglan is now, as long as he is not a true fairy, there is nothing to say, just say it utterly, without thinking, and he was arresting the monk with the surname of Song, and during the interrogation, he also asked that the monk with the surname of Song was also obtained in Luoju Wasteland. A blue broken arm, and that magic weapon. As a result, he and I suddenly felt that the Luoju wilderness was a little weird. Over the past few decades, we have been searching in that area for the Backfire League, and finally found a place that should be the ruins of the Little Heaven Realm. I'm doing. Wei Suo suddenly swallowed hard again. After making it for a long time, the Shenlan Wanyanbei returned to the same as himself, killing heir of the Baron, and the skills and magic weapons he grabbed. In contrast, I was a little bit worse, and I couldn't get the other techniques of Xuanhuan Wanjian and the 3 emperors. Are your exercises and techniques the same as ours, obtained with a blue broken arm flying in the air, also near Luoju Wasteland? Xantai Linglan returned a little, looking with Wei Suo's appearance, he seemed to react suddenly, and cried out, no wonder you keep staring at me. I used to desperately ask the blue arm and the inheritance of my practice. Whether I asked you or you asked me, it seems that you really want to plant a real fairy. Of course, Wei Suo would not give Xantai Linglan a chance to relax, and immediately clicked the animal bar, and his nose hummed. You asked me. Xantai Linglan suddenly shivered all over his body, daring not to say a word. Wei Daiyu, what the is going on? Li Ruohe and Xian Yalan couldn't help transmitting the sound to Wei Suo's ear at this time. He also saw that Wei Suo's expression was wrong. Maybe it is related to the more powerful extraterrestrial demon. Now there is no time to explain to Li Ruohe and Xian Yalan. After quickly transmitting the sentence, Wei Suo continued to ask, now that ruin, how are you exploring, kind? We have entered the outer ban. I am afraid that the inner is bigger than Xiaoshenjia. Before I came, there was nothing to discover. Hearing Wei Suo's voice, Li Ruohe and Xian Yalan were both frightened, and Xantai Linglan is already completely aware of all the words and words. Tenju Shenjun and Shenlan King are now there. Damn it, Wei Suo was about to cry. Originally he wanted to be at least leisurely for a while, but it seemed to be non-stop. Although it is only a peripheral ban, nothing has yet been discovered, but this place is very likely related to the barbarian. If you run out of 1 or 2 barbarian powers, it will be fun again. Li Gongju, Senior Yuanyan, they are now calculated according to time. They should be about 50,000 miles north of Zihai City. Could you try to notify them as soon as possible so that they can come to Zihai City as soon as possible? Wei Suo wanted to cry without tears. After screaming in his heart, he immediately looked at Li Ruohe and Xian Yalan asked. This can be done naturally, I immediately ordered to continue. Li Ruohe nodded immediately. Where is Senior Huang Daejun now? in this Zihai city, Wei Suo asked next. In this city of Zihai, do you want to take you right now? Xuanhuan also saw that Wei Suo might have a cure for Huangdaejun, and immediately replied. Okay, help me find as many medicinal herbs with milder potency to strengthen the blood and enhance the longevity. Wei Suo immediately took a photo of Zantai Linglan and said this to Xinyalan, and Zantai Linglan, after a sentence, following Xinyalan, looted towards a palace in the city, and Li Ruohe immediately ran out towards the direction of the Zihai conference venue. Thank you. Zantai Linglan's brain was completely uncomfortable. When he saw Wei Suo taking himself out of the stall, he was no longer a true immortal. He said so. This goods. Hearing Zantai Linglan's words, Wei Suo and Xuanhuan almost fainted. It seems that this trick is used to force confessions, but it can be used more in the future. It hurt so bad. When he saw Huangdaejun, Wei Suo took a breath. The seal of Huangdaejun's prohibition is placed in the mountains of Zihai city, and an oval blood-red light group covers the sleeping Huangdaejun. A peculiar strange fragrance loomed out from the blood-red luminous group, making the people who smelled felt shocked. This peculiar fragrance, Wei Suo felt that it was a kind of extremely amazing elixir or a pill of breath. Obviously, the seal ban alone could not prevent the deterioration of Huangdaejun's injury. Chang Sunjing and others have also used some kind of elixir combination. Huangdaejun's flesh is really shocking. A big hole in the chest that penetrated back and forth almost cut the body in two, and there seemed to be many cracks in the wound. The obvious unique power of strength was along the wound and hit many places in his body. And Huangdaejun's entire skin, there is a feeling like a collection of fine gray, giving the impression that now, as long as Huangdaejun touch casually, it will become a pool of fly ash. Brother Wei, you have taken the elixir and elixir. At this moment, Chang Sunjing and Chang Sunziru also plundered into the secret room inside the mountain, and quickly handed over several treasures to Wei Suo. Why are there so many high-level water demon pill? Wei Suo took a few Nabeo capsules, and under a sweep of his consciousness, he was stunned. Except for a Nabeo that contains the elixir for replenishing qi and blood and enhancing Xuanhuan, the remaining Nabeos are all water-based monsters, and they are all high-level water systems. Yaodan, the lowest level, is the 6th level low-level water Yaodan. Adding up these few treasures, there are nearly 20,000 high-level water demon pill. Chang Sunziru always thought that you would not fall and could come back, so when you were hit into the quiet sand space, until the sky dome broke, and then the annihilation frenzy, she got some high-level water demon. She will help you stay. Now there are many high-level monsters in the world of monasticism, otherwise there will be no more high-level water demon pill accumulated. Xuanhuan glanced at Wei Suo and explained. There are so many high-level water demon pill, prepare again, then you can see if you can hit the real immortal before rushing to Luoju wasteland. Wei Suo was very moved, and immediately appeared like this. Idea. If any chapter content is not displayed, please visit to read. Tip, you can search for 0.academy00sy or 00sy in Baidu to visit this site. The site address is. To facilitate reading this book next time, you can click add bookmark below to record this reading record, and you can directly read this chapter next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Remember that the more updates you share, the faster. Mobile phone users, please visit. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Zy. Chapter 1226. Lord Snowhawk. Dragon Legend. Super Soldier. Cultivation of Rain and Clouds. Budo Supreme. King Yanjai. My neighbor is a banshee. Xianmu Legend. Wei Suo now has no obstacles to break through the true immortals, all he needs is enough aura. Underscore. The number of monsters in the world of monasticism is extremely alarming. It is difficult to find a monk, but it is not difficult to find a large number of monsters. With these nearly 20,000 high-level water monsters, and then find a place where a large number of water monsters gather, you should be able to quickly gather the resources needed to impact the true fairy. Are you going to go to Luoju Wasteland or stay here for a while? If you pass some time, you should still be able to collect a lot of water. Demon Chang Sun Zairu saw Wei Suo's appearance, which was bigger than himself. The benefits are still happy, you blushed. I'm afraid that after Ling Longtian arrives, they will go there after discussion. However, there is a water demon pill to help me store it first in front of Chang Sun Zairu and others. Wei Suo was also polite. After that, he clicked on the blood-red luminous mass wrapped in Huang Daijun and asked, "Can this ban be lifted immediately?" Anytime Chang Sun nodded, looking nervous. "I can't guarantee it, but if this thing doesn't work, then there is no way." Wei Suo reached out and took the blue magic medicine in his hand. "It's this thing." As soon as he saw the blue magic medicine in Wei Suo's hands, Chang Sun Jing and Chang Sun Xiaoru's eyes suddenly lighted up. When Wei Suo launched the heavenly tribulation to deal with so many barren powers, the man was also present, and he saw that the four-armed barren power could cure those devastated barren powers from the arranged magic weapon, so the two recognized in the body of the ancient emperor medicine. "Do you want to remove this ban now?" Chang Sun Jingshen took a breath, looked at Wei Suo, and asked. "Okay." Wei Suo knew that it was a matter of trial and error. It was useless to drag on, so there was no hesitation and nodded immediately. This is how his temperament is. In some matters related to life and death, he is more determined and calmer than usual. After seeing Wei Suo nod, Chang Sun Jingshen took a breath, and after clenching his teeth, one after another, 6 consecutive huiguang hits the magic circle under the blood-red mask. As soon as these 6 huiguang hits, the blood-red mask just disappeared, and it disappeared immediately. Without the slightest stop, Wei Suo stretched out his hand, wrapped in Huang Daijun with a true element of supreme softness, and a burst of water spirit rushed, and dozens of blue medicinal qualities have been rushed out of the blue magic medicine. Then, Wei Suo was beaten into the body of Huang Daijun. Wei Suo tried the power of this blue magic medicine in person. These powers are the maximum power he can bear in the case of Huang Daijun at the moment. These dozens of blue medicinal qi flew into Huang Daijun's body, and Huang Daijun's body shook violently, and the already dead body suddenly felt a kind of dead wood and spring, and began to flow into life. As soon as he felt this change in breath, Wei Suo, Chang Sun Jing, Chang Sun Zairu, Xinu Lan and others all looked happy, and Wei Suo did not pause at all. Lingdan was immediately transformed into Huang Daijun's body by him. The vitality of Huang Daijun is even stronger. Seeing this situation, Wei Suo kept on turning his hands and feet, turning the magic pills and strains of the elixir into the body of Huang Daijun as gently as possible. It was only about half an incense, the breath of Huang Daijun suddenly shook, a wave of vitality fluctuated, but Zhenyuan also began to flow. As soon as Zhenyuan began to flow, Huang Daijun opened his eyes, and when he saw Wei Suo and Zantai Linglan, his face immediately appeared shocked. At the moment, Wei Suo was still a wax-yellow face monk. Huang Daijun didn't even think he was Wei Suo, but he also felt that Wei Suo's cultivation practice was extremely amazing. He could also see that Zantai Linglan was completely held back. "What is the specific situation? Wait a minute, Senior Huang, how are you doing now?" Chang Sun Zairu asked immediately. This needs to be explained, not a two-sentence thing, and she is afraid that Huang Daijun's mind is too agitated, causing the injury to deteriorate, which is miserable. "I can't die. This part of the Taoist's part of me has a very strange medicine, which has greatly stimulated my vitality. Now my injury has begun to improve completely." Huang Daijun was really intolerable, looking at Wei Suo asked, "This Taoist doesn't know what the name is, why hasn't he seen it before? It's so magical." "Senior Huang, We are old acquaintances, you can tell you honestly, don't be excited. Wei Suo has felt that Huang Daojun's vitality has been very strong, and Qi and Zhenyuan have completely flowed away, and it is impossible to appear again. Deterioration and saving an old friend are in a good mood, so I can't help talking. Old acquaintance, Huang Daojun looked at Wei Suo puzzled, but he couldn't remember how he knew such a person. I don't remember me, I should remember this thing. Wei Suo haha smiled, very tentatively reached out a hand, took out the golden door flying sword out. You. Huang Daojun's eyes swelled for a moment, his hands clasped his heart. No, are you okay? Wei Suo was startled now, his face pale. You, Wei Daiyu, haven't you fallen? Where have you been for so many years? Huang Daojun finally took a breath and said the sentence. Seeing, don't be excited first. I will tell you slowly. Wei Suo saw that Huang Daojun was okay, wiped a sweat, put away the door flying sword, and started from being hit into the sand quiet space, to himself. How to come here, how to catch Zantai Linglan quickly said again. It turns out that, you can really say that it is more than 200 years beyond the contemporary monks. Huang Daojun calmed down after hearing Wei Suo's speech, and couldn't help saying this. Hearing Huang Daojun saying that, Zantai Linglan really wanted to cry. Yeah, although he missed Qinyao for 30 years, he also had constant opportunities in the past 200 years, but he was still captured by Wei Suo. It is really like Wei Suo let him for more than 200 years, he is not. Wei Suo's opponent really wanted to die. By the way, what is the situation in Kairguang City now? Is there a 9-turn spirit liquid pool? But Wei Suo immediately asked him whether he wanted to die or not. Now I got nearly 20,000 high-level water system demon pill, and soon reached the true ferry is expected. Wei Suo moved Kairguang City's idea. If there was really a 9-turn spirit liquid pool in that place, and if there was a lot of spirit liquid accumulated, it would save him a lot of time. Kairguang City does have a 9-turn spirit liquid pool layout, but... Zantai Linglan blanched and gulped. Hurry. Do you want to plant a real ferry again? Seeing his halt, Wei Suo suddenly threatened. The spirit liquid inside has been divided by several of us. 5 of us divided 5 drops. Zantai Linglan's expression was about to cry. I'm doing. Wei Suo suddenly rolled his eyes, no wonder the goods did not dare to say that they had already been divided. Don't tell me that you broke through to the true fairy because you refined the spirit liquid. Don't be a true fairy. As soon as we saw Wei Suo's appearance, Zantai Linglan shouted, I still have 1 drop left. 1 drop left, where? Wei Suo was shocked. Just in the Nabeo bag that you searched for this time. Zantai Linglan was really crying. Is this the case? Wei Suo glared, reached out and grabbed a silver white pill bottle. This is it. Zantai Linglan nodded desperately. The rest of the people didn't know why Wei Suo's expression was like this, but we saw that Wei Suo swallowed hard, stretched out his hand, and took out an identical silver white dan in a Nabeo's bottle. This, Zantai Linglan was dumbfounded, but immediately reacted, oh, this is Yezaime. This thing is the spirit liquid condensed by the Xuanhuan spirit liquid pool. Wei Suo poured out all the contents of the 2 silver white pill bottles. I saw a total of 6 beads of the size of a pigeon egg, and the surface was off-white crystal shell. There seems to be some liquid inside. This is it. Zantai Linglan nodded immediately. Is this naturally formed? The spirit of this is amazing, Wei Suo asked with a face that was punched. Yes, because the 9-turn spiritual liquid pool was arranged for too long, the resulting spiritual liquid has crystallized outside, and the aura has lost most of it, but the internal spiritual liquid is wrapped, but the aura is extremely. It's amazing, at least equivalent to more than a dozen immortals. Zantai Linglan finally saw Wei Suo's doubts and said. Wei Suo was speechless now. It turns out that the crystal shells outside these spirit liquids have some auras, but they are not many. The feeling for Wei Suo should be just a high-order spirit pill that supplements the true element, Nothing surprising when searching for Yezilan, he still felt that Yezilan had nothing good on his body, and he almost gave these things to any monk of Tianqian League. Unexpectedly, the outer crystal shell was the same as the crystal shell that encased the stone spirit milk in the place where he discovered the stone spirit milk that he found when he was doing small loose repairs in Lingyu City. If this thing was really sent out by him casually, it would be nothing more to say if it was just used as a high-level rebirth that can supplement some real UN. The 9-turn spirit liquid pool has been damaged, so these spirit liquids have absorbed a lot of miscellaneous vitality in the long years, and they must be combined with elixir like purple fox flower to refine them. Biming Shenzhen they have not yet. I can find this kind of elixir, so I still stay on my body. Seeing Wei Suo's speechless words, Zantai Linglan was afraid that he wouldn't say anything, and Wei Suo found that it wasn't good, and was annoyed. Next, he called him a kind of true immortal, and immediately cried again and again, maybe the heavenly 9 divine king and Zhenlan king have not been refined, and they should still be on their bodies. It's really because I already have good meat in my hands. I don't know. Wei Suo glanced at Zantai Linglan, and with a burst of water spirit, he directly rolled up a drop of spirit liquid. Others are afraid of this arrogance, and his water emperor will never be afraid. If any chapter content is not displayed, please visit to read. Tip: you can search for 0.academy00sy or 00sy in Baidu to visit this site. The site address is. To facilitate reading this book next time, you can click add bookmark below to record this reading record, and you can directly read this chapter next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Remember that the more updates you share, the faster. Mobile phone users, please visit Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 1227. Lord Snowhawk. Dragon Legend. Super Soldier. Cultivation of Rain and Clouds. Budo Supreme. King Yanjai. My neighbor is a banshee. Xianmu Legend. Boom. In front of Changsun Jing, Changsun Zairu, and Huang Daijun, Wei Suo did not need to cover up. A completely condensed essence of the Water Emperor's god instantly stood on his head, and the crystal water flow formed by countless water spirits with strong power, scoured on that drop of 9-turn spirit liquid. A thick layer of crystal shell of Xuanhuan Lingyi was washed away almost immediately. This layer of off-white crystal shell is the same as Wei Suo's previous estimate. The aura in it is almost equivalent to that of a high-order rejuvenating pill, but the arrogant elements in this layer of crystal shell are all condensed into crystalline. The aura turned out to be very pure, and a pile of dust remains after refining, which is really similar to the high-level rejuvenation pill. However, it is precisely because of this that Wei Suo, who perceives or exceeds Zantai Linglan, can have an illusion, and almost thinks that these are just ordinary things. After this layer of crystal shell was washed away by Wei Suo, the 9-turn spirit liquid inside was really a drop as small as a fingernail, and it was also grayish-white. But Wei Suo took a deep breath immediately, and felt an explosive aura under the scouring of his water spirit. Boom. Wei Suo immediately encased this drop of spirit liquid with the strength of Wuchen Shui Linki, and the rest was only washed by the strength of 50%. Wow! Almost just between breathing, Wei Suo's body opened, and the entire cave was like a hurricane, and a burst of unhealthy vitality rushed out of Wei Suo's body. This kind of vigorous breath of vitality. In one breath, I am afraid that it is equivalent to several months of hard work of the ordinary Xian. Chang Sun Jing and Chang Sun Zairu were also the first to watch Wei Suo's full practice, and they were also dumbfounded. Such a drop is almost like the chaotic green cow's horns. No wonder Zantai Linglan can break through to the real fairy. Between the fierce vitality, Wei Suo's body also felt a little tingling. Now his flesh is extremely strong and completely bearable, otherwise refining the 9-turn spirit fluid may be the same as his refining and chaotic green cow horn. It seems that I must have caught Tianzhu Shenzhen and that Zhenlan King Wei Suo can be sure that if he can really get 8 or 9 such things from Tianzhu Shenzhen and Zhenlan King, it is estimated that it is just on hand. Yaodan and these 9 turned spirits can successfully transform the immortals into one step. Although his physical strength is now higher than that of ordinary true immortals, the real immortals, the consciousness, etc. will be greatly improved, and there will be many substantial benefits. There is such a good thing, and you haven't taken the initiative to tell me. Do you really want to plant a real immortal? As soon as he felt the power of the 9 turned spirit liquid, Wei Suo was proud, and while he was still refining, he also glared fiercely at Xantai Linglan pretendingly. What else do you have to hide from hiding? Hurry and tell me. Void Golden Gourd has fallen into your hands. I really don't have anything good to hide, Xantai Linglan cried again, unless it's just my exercises and techniques. Also yes, there are still some magic weapons in the storehouse of the heavenly Dao city against the Fire Alliance, and some high-level demon pill. Okay, then you record both the exercises and techniques. Wei Suo moved faster than anyone else. As soon as he heard Xantai Linglan say, he immediately pointed out a few pieces of memorable notes to Chang Sun Zairu. Xiao are you, help me record his exercises and spells, let him dictate. He is also a true fairy anyway, it is a bit dangerous to let him be a little real and can flow. Poof, Chang Sun Zairu couldn't help laughing again. Looking at what Xantai Linglan looked like, he was almost tossed by him. Even the Sea of Gods, how could it be like a real fairy? But smiling back, she still pointed at Xantai Linglan immediately. Hey, hurry up, otherwise you really have to plant you a fairy. Wei Daiyu, is there anything else to help? Chang Sun Jing heard Wei Suo's ear at this time. He naturally knew that Wei Suo looked relaxed at the moment, but the situation was a little urgent, otherwise Wei Suo would not be so anxious to let Ling Longtian, who had been practicing all the way leisurely. They rushed over. To Kuryan Liwa still needs a Zhenjiangzianko, together with this Zihai conference, maybe I will find a bigger chance to find it, and I will also need a golden Wukuo to help the device congeal. Wei Suo also, you're welcome to know that this Zihai conference is probably the largest trade fair in the monastic world. If you spread the news at this Zihai conference, you can't find it, at least with the power of the Heavenly Profound Alliance, it will be difficult to find in a short time. Okay, Chang Sun Jing didn't have any nonsense. After nodding his head, he immediately swept out. It took less than a cup of tea to refine this drop of 9 turned spirit liquid, but Wei Suo sat down and meditated on a divine pattern. After King Yu Emperor's enlightenment, he has already determined the next way to become a saint. In this absolutely quiet secret cave, it is much better to meditate and condense the pattern than when you are on the road outside. The refining water system Yaodan and Xuanhuan Lingyi are also the same when you are on the road outside. More things about Linglan are not in a hurry, you can wait for Ling Longtian to wait until someone arrives. Just as the Zihai conference continued, Wei Suo and Huang Daijun began to understand the divine refinement, a full-time intensive training, and when they regained their vitality, I did not know how many thousands of miles apart in a wild wasteland, dozens of monks he was blasting at a dazzling golden mask. The place where this group of monks is located is a stunning and vast ruin. If any monk arrives at this ruin, the first sight will surely be terrifying. Because this ruin can only be described by a big character. The continuous ruins can't be seen at all. The ruins of a city of the size of Haixian City are almost 1% less than this. This feeling is like hundreds of thousands of cities gathered together and completely ruined. In addition to the surprisingly wide range of the ruins, every piece of debris in the ruins is also huge. Just from the fragments of some pillars and eaves, it can be seen that the original temples must be huge when they are intact. Unimaginable. In this ruin, the figure of any monk looks very small. At the moment, dozens of monks were blasting golden masks. Compared with this amazing ruin, it was only the tip of the iceberg. Looking down from a very high altitude, it was only a small spot of the size of soybeans in the ruins. but compared with the figure of dozens of monks, it is already very large, covering hundreds of square feet, and inside it is a golden ancient temple that still looks intact. The dozens of monks who besieged this golden mask were at least 2 monks of Jindan. Among them, the gods of the 2 leading bodies were extremely amazing, and there was a potential for breakthrough. One of them was wearing a chicken yellow the old way of Sci-fi, with an ancient stone hairpin inserted in his head, was awe-inspiring that he was so scared that he couldn't even dare to see Wei Suo's face. At this moment, his body seems to have been slightly dry and thin compared to the previous one, but the skin on his body is shining with a strange bronze color, giving a heavy feeling like you. The other is not weaker than his divine profound power, but a young man wearing a light blue robes. Obviously he should be one of the 4 giants of the Backfire League, and he took a certain barbarian like Wei Suo. The inherited Shenlan Wangyanbei returned. The forehead of Shenlan Wangyanbei's home is wide, although his face is not particularly exquisite, but it is also a sword eyebrow star, and it is somewhat similar to Lin Taixu, the brother of Xuan Fengmen. The light blue vestment on his body is also very unique. It looks like some kind of nephrite material. The light flowing on it condenses a pale red lotus on the vest from time to time. It looks like there is a non-stop the lotus flower lotus kept opening on his body. It seems that Tianjiu Shenjun and Shenlan King and others have bombarded this golden mask for a long time. Except that they have not been particularly tired, the dozens of other refractory alliance monks are all pale and continuous. The cast time is too long, and the heart is very tired. But these people, including the heavenly 9 gods King and Shenlan King, are still casting bombardments on the golden mask. In the golden mask, you can see a series of slap-like strange silver runes continually formed by the silver patterns, which are looming on the inner wall of the golden mask, an unusually solemn feeling. In the violent impact and explosion of the blast, I don't know how long, and suddenly a click, all the silver runes on the inner wall of the golden mask were broken. It took 3 full days to finally break the Sumaya empty wall. Immediately, the voice of Tianju Shenjun's surprise was immediately rang. Haha, Shenlan Wangyanbei also laughed loudly in his laughter. All the rest of the Anti-Fire Alliance monks stayed in place, and he and the heavenly 9 gods, but it flew to the door of the golden ancient temple like a temple. The original intact golden ancient temple had already collapsed by the time the golden mask was damaged. From the gaps that some people can fully enter, both the heavenly 9 divine king and the Shenlan king saw at the same time that there were at least 10 pieces of ancient battle armor of different colors and rippling in the golden ancient palace, which were extremely cold and breathing. There is a wave of nothingness, but the energy fluctuations that make both of them feel horrified, reveal from the surface of the ancient battle armor and the magic circle inside. This. As soon as the two felt such amazing energy fluctuations, the eyes of both of them flashed surprises for the first time, but immediately, the eyes of both of them immediately showed a surprising expression. These more than 10 ancient armor pieces are obviously at least suitable to be worn by true immortals. They are true immortal armor, but these armor are very large in size, and all have 4 arms, just like a Buddha, and these suits are cast with amazing iron. They can't change their size at all, that is to say, they can't wear them at all. They are specially made for people with such huge arms. If any chapter content is not displayed, please visit to read. Tip: you can search for 0.academy00sy or 00sy in Baidu to visit this site. The site address is. To facilitate reading this book next time, you can click Add Bookmark below to record this reading record, and you can directly read this chapter next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Remember that the more updates you share, the faster. Mobile phone users please visit. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Zy. Chapter 1228. Lord Snowhawk. Dragon Legend. Super Soldier. Cultivation of Rain and Clouds. Budo Supreme. King Yanjai. My neighbor is a banshee. Xianmu legend. A huge true immortal Batlajir, like a deity, stood motionless, exuding a powerful sense of oppression. Underscore. Is this place a secret land of a heavenly demon outside the territory, which was later destroyed by the monk's power? Shenlan Wanyanbei silently looked at this heart-wrenching real fairy armor in front of him, and then turned his head to look at Tianjiu Shenjun. It seems that this is not a good land. If there is a living extraterrestrial demon, it should have been born in these years. It should be unlikely that there will be a living extraterrestrial demon. We should just pay attention to the prohibition inside. Tianjiu Shenjun frowned and nodded. Road. We can't use these suits, but we can also study the above magic circle. Even if we can't study them, the iron fine gold of these suits, smelted out, can also be used to produce amazing magic weapons. After Shenlan Wanyanbei said this again, it was a roll of sleeves and a roll of micro-blue airflow, and all of the more than 10 huge immortal warframes were collected in Nabeo. Yep. At this moment, suddenly the face of God Nine Gods changed, looked at Shenlan Wanyanbei, and immediately swept out of the golden ancient palace. Shenlan Wanyan returned to the north, and it seemed that until something happened, he immediately followed the heavenly Nine Divine King, and two escaped light rushed towards the prescription site of this ruin. After swept through at least thousands of miles, there was an overwhelming black wind in front of them. I saw the divine light of black and blue in the hands of Shenlan Wanyanbei, but a gyroscopic magic weapon appeared in front of him. Immediately, a vortex of ebony and blue intertwined and formed outside the two people. All the black winds that had rushed were shredded. Instead, a series of black wind blades were formed in the vortex. Flying out in all directions, there was a violent breaking sound. After swiftly sweeping a cup of tea in this overcast black wind, the two of them appeared clear in front of them, but a huge mountain with a height of at least 5,000 or 6,000 feet appeared. This huge mountain range is like a city wall pulled artificially from the ground. Above this huge mountain like a city wall, there is a faint glow of light everywhere. Some looked like they were shot out of a huge mountain range, forming the power of the Great Prohibition, while some looked like the remnants of some mighty powers, rippling with a thrilling disorder. As in the northern mansion, it seems that there is some amazing power. Here, the fighting method and the powerful fairy field power have not yet disappeared. At the moment, there is a small hole at the bottom of the mountain where Tianjiu Shenjun and Shenlan Wanyanbei are facing. It seems that the inside is also vaguely disturbed, and it seems that it is also hit by someone. Of the faces of Tianjiu Shenjun and Shenlan Wanyanbei became instantly ugly. Near the cave entrance, there are stumps of the ground, and the air is still filled with a faint blood mist. Any monk who sees such a scene can see that at least more than 10 monks have just been killed here. And most of the flesh and blood have been destroyed or swept away. Where is the deist under this killer? Tianjiu Divine King swept away and immediately shouted loudly, the voice spread far away. But after the voice of Tianjiu Divine King spread, no one responded at all. After glancing at each other, they both looked sullenly and immediately split their heads to search around. After a while, both of them landed in front of the shattered corpse. Tianjiu Shenjun, what do you think? Shenlan Wanyanbei looked at Tianjiu Shenjun with a cold face. It seems that we are going to step up some more and explore some places as soon as possible. Tianjiu Shenjun glanced at Shenlan Wanyanbei and sneered, although the other party, even the Xianyuan divine sovereign of Shenxian Triple, is killed, but surely it is not our two opponents, otherwise we do not need to hide at all, and dare not face the enemy with us. You are right, we must rush back immediately, otherwise the people inside us are easily attacked by others. Shenlan Wanyanbei nodded, and the two immediately turned around and flew back into the overcast black wind. Schemed in. Soon after, the two of them escaped suddenly from the black wind, seeing that there was nothing strange around them. The two talents, Tianjiu Shenjun and Shenlan Wanyanbei, reshot into the black wind. Obviously, the two men were also very insidious. They intentionally said they were leaving, but they suddenly killed a carbine to see if anyone had revealed their whereabouts. And a long time after the two disappeared this time, in the distant sky amidst a ray of light, suddenly a figure emerged from it. This silhouette exudes a faint green brilliance, and even green fire flashes in both eyes. If a monk can see it at this moment, he will be surprised. Because this is not a monk at all, but a human-shaped monster like a sapphire. Except that the hair and eyeballs are green, and there is a faint enchantment on the body, the fangs are exposed, and it looks particularly grim. This monster looks no different from the appearance of people. And looking at the disappearance of Tianjia Shenzhen and Zhenlan King, a cold sneer immediately appeared on the face of this humanoid monster, and it was obvious that the spiritual intelligence was higher than that of the ordinary monks. King Shenlan had to kill a carbine. Immediately, I saw this green, high-spirit sapiens monster, and went back to the place of the residual limbs, and swallowed the remaining monk's flesh and blood, and then the body became a faint green light, silent, interestlessly invested in the overcast black wind. After a full day, in an unremarkable valley among the wilderness, 4 monks in blue robes stood side by side, and opposite them were 2 monks in white robes. With a respectful report. The 4 monks wearing blue robes are all Jindan monks, and the 2 monks wearing white robes are divided into different ways of thinking, and the breath of these 6 monks is very unique, even they are all exudes. The breath of monster blood is different from each other. If it wasn't for seeing it with his own eyes, it would be thought that it was 6 different monsters if it was just a probe by God. If you can get a closer look, you will find that the breath of these 6 people is purely the blood of the body, not the magic weapon, and they are much stronger than the blood of ordinary monks. What a secret method, able to exchange blood, replace some powerful monster blood to replace your own blood. This kind of Rongyuan blood-swapping technique was used in ancient times, and it can make the body of a monk as powerful as some desolate ancient monsters, but at least when Weizhou broke through the heavenly tribulation, he did not hear of the monastic world. Which sect has one of them, but after 200 or more decades, this kind of secret practice has reappeared in the realm of monasticism instead. There is a strange phase of skylight, one of the Jindan monks wearing blue robes said in a deep voice. Yes, the elders, and we managed to capture a group of people from the Backfire Alliance nearby. Listening to those people, it seems that the Backfire Alliance has been searching for that place since decades ago, a white-robed monk said, and we have previously placed a magical implement nearby that detected many Shenxian monks entering. So, even if there is no ancient ruins in that place, there must be something else amazing. You continue to investigate, and you must not expose the traces, another blue-robed Jindan monk said immediately. Yes, the 2 white-robed monks bowed and bowed immediately. Go. Before the 2 white-robed monks left, the 4 Jindan monks in blue robes had already risen into the sky and disappeared immediately above the valley. At the same time, a huge escaped light has already left the territory of the original Tianxian continent and is heading towards the Yunling continent. This huge escaped light is an indigo blue iron ship with a length of 50 feet. It is covered with stripes of clouds, and it looks extremely heavy and strong. In the cabin of this indigo blue iron ship, it is Wei Suo, Ling Longtian, Ji Ya, Chang Sunziru and all others. It turned out that Weizhou used the place of the Baron to cross the robbery. Although all the Baron and the ancient temples of the Baron were destroyed, and all the barons in that place were also destroyed by the sky robbery, but after those ancient houses were destroyed, a lot of iron it still remained, plus a lot of meteorites landed within 10,000 miles. These iron fine gold and meteorites were collected by Huang Daijun and others. Now the second half of Zhai City, including the carcass of this big ship, is also made of the iron fine gold from the ancient temples of the famine. Although the second half of Zhai City, including the prohibition of this big ship, cannot be compared with the Baron, but the Baron iron fine gold itself, the general power of the magic power of the fourfold and 5 major powers of the gods are all simply unbreakable. Boom! Boom! What his magic weapon is a gyro shape. It emits two golden lights of blue gold and blue. At this time, Wei Suo was refining the water system demon, and Ling Longtian and Chang Sun Zairu, but it is pressing Zantai Linglan and Yezaime. Why, you know this magic weapon. At the moment, when Ling Longtian asked about the magic weapon in the hands of Shenlan Wangyanbei, his face changed greatly, and Han Weiwei and others immediately asked. This is Gan Lan Mi Tuo. It was a magic weapon of a monk who joined the Baron on the side of the Northern Manchu World War, Mengfeng Ling Emperor Heaven. This thing is actually a dry blue relic of the ancient Buddha section. After the system is created, the higher the caster's cultivation level is, the higher the energizing power is. If the monks of the same cultivation level are opposed to the enemy, not only can they completely resist the opponent's magical power, but also can part of the power back go out among the iron ships. Only Chang Sun Zairu, Chang Sun Jing and Huang Daijun, Li Ruohe and others who knew Wei Suo's identity, and Zantai Linglan and Yezilan will certainly not let go. After the next question, Wei Suo was ready to let everyone use the Purdue God to photometrically, and during this time Ling Longtian had already explained some things about the Huangs and the Lings, so there was nothing to hide. At that time, Emperor Fengling was also the most powerful in the highest battle group. If any chapter content is not displayed, please visit to read. Tip: you can search for 0.academy00sy or 00sy in Baidu to visit this site. The site address is. To facilitate reading this book next time, you can click Add Bookmark below to record this reading record, and you can directly read this chapter next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Remember that the more updates you share, the faster. Mobile phone users, please visit. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Zy. Chapter 1229. Lord Snowhawk. Dragon Legend. Super Soldier. Cultivation of Rain and Clouds. Budo Supreme. King Yanjai. My neighbor is a banshee. Zion Mu Legend. Boom. Boom, like a star made of water impacting in the cabin, every sound sounded, and the whole indigo blue iron ship was shaking. After learning from the mouth of Zantai Linglan, the magic weapon of King Shenlan, Wei Suo and others hurried more quickly, and Wei Suo refining the water system demon was also fiercer. No, let's not talk about spellcasting in this way, we all have to be hindered ourselves, we go to another cabin. The witch goddess nodded at Wei Suo, stretched out a hand, and grabbed Zantai Linglan and Baiming Shenjun Yezaime. The first one flew towards a cabin outside. According to various indications, the place of Luoju wasteland is more and more likely to be related to the top power of the Baron, not to mention whether there is a living Baron power in it. Very bad. Now some important things have been forced to be questioned first, and then the witch goddess and others began to directly display the Purdue divine light and spend Zantai Linglan and Yezaime. Wei Suo's physical body now exceeds that of ordinary true immortals. I don't know how many times I am fully demonstrating the Water Emperor's phalanx, and refining the Water Demon. Has a great hindrance to itself. The Water Emperor swallowed the sun, using Wei Suo's current true UN and physical training, and fully exerted it, and he completely swallowed the sun and moon-like scenes. The 6th level and 7th level high-level water demon is also a bite, one above the head. The Emperor of the Water Emperor swallowed it in one bite, and with a bang, he immediately shattered it into pieces and completely melted it into his body. It was only less than half a day. The nearly 20,000 high-level water demon pill accumulated by Chang Sun Zairu and others and some other low-level water demon pill on hand were all purified by Wei Suo. It's no wonder that God doesn't allow me. Wei Suo was very moved, not because he felt his current refining speed, but because he is now even more bottomless than before. How can he not be fed, these nearly 20,000 high-level water demon, but Chang Sun Zairu and others over 200 years of accumulation. However, the accumulation of these 200 years has not been counted as being refined for most of the day, and I am only close to the 5 stages of Shenxian. I also need a large amount of spiritual energy and vitality of the water system to be able to truly turn into immortality. Real to true fairy. I changed myself to hunting everywhere, and I don't know how many years it will take to hunt and get 20,000 high-level water monsters. Even if a high-level water monster above level 6 can be found every day, it will take 50 years for 20,000 days. As for the acquisition, it is only possible to acquire a large number of low-level water system dandan, and the number of high-level water system dandan is also very small. The elder son Zairu helped him accumulate so many high-level water demon pill, and invisible is the 200 years that he gave him away, and it has been recovered for decades. After refining all the water demon pill on hand, Wei Suo took out the remaining 5 9-turn spirits. Click. Under the rush of the water emperor deity that really engulfed the weather of the sun and the moon, the outer crystal shell of a 9-turn spirit liquid quickly shattered, and a large stock of spirits poured out. In less than half an hour, these 5 9-turn spirits were all refined by Wei Suo, and the entire cabin with a radius of more than 10 feet was refuted with unfavorable vitality, and even condensed into a sticky beach. Liquid. The breath on Wei Suo's body has become extremely large, and it seems that even this indigo blue iron ship can be swallowed at once. It's still almost. But we saw that Wei Suo shook his head, and after whispering, a powerful water spirit rushed to wash the entire cabin clean, and then the whole person followed this water spirit schemed out of the cabin. Just a flash, and arrived in the cabin where the witch goddess and others were located. At this time, the gods, Chang Sun Jing, Chang Sun Zairu, Xuanhuan ancestors, and many other powers have already exerted their full power on the Purdue divine light, and a circle of golden Buddha lights is constantly covering the body of Zantai Linglan and Yezaime. Why, still not enough? Nangong Yuking and Ji Ya asked as soon as Wei Suo rushed in. It's not much worse. I'll take a step and wait for you near King Yuji, and Wei Suo nodded. It's time to be officially immortal. Okay, everyone knows Wei Suo's meaning. When he left Zihai City earlier, Chang Sun Jing and Li Ruohei and others had marked the places where a large number of water monsters gathered along the way. With Wei Suo's imaginary footwork, hunting monsters and beasts all the way should be faster than them, and Wei Suo now breaks through the real immortal, which is purely a matter of accumulation, and there is no danger at all, so the pedestrians are not worried. After saying hello, Wei Suo flew out of the indigo blue iron ship alone. Boom. At this time, it was dark, and Wei Suo swooped out of the indigo blue iron ship alone, only a few flashes, and he threw behind the extremely amazing iron ship, which was the ups and downs, which were originally clear. A thick rain cloud suddenly appeared in the night sky, and a heavy rain was born, and immediately fell down. Wouldn't I have become the of water and the of rain in the ancient mythology books? Wei Suo suddenly felt a little sweat because he felt that the rainstorm was formed solely by him. At this moment, he used the escape method to soar in the air. Even in the wilderness below, between the mountains and forests, the water vapor on the ground was naturally attracted, rose up, and a large number of rain clouds formed instantly. The vitality and trueness in his body at this moment seemed to allow these water vapors to get close naturally. If it breaks through to the true immortal, I am afraid that the scope of influence will be greater. Unless he hides his breath, I am afraid that wherever he travels, there will be thousands of miles of rain. Feeling that the rainstorm was caused by himself, Wei Suo did not deliberately control it. The stormy rain could cover his escape and breath, but he took out a jade charm and began to read the scriptures in it. Among the jade symbols, what is recorded is the inheritance of Zantai Linglan, the void ancients of the void Taoist. There are countless amazing techniques in the ancient void. After listening to Ling Longtian's words, I didn't know how much power he had at that time. He fell into the hands of the Void Deist, who rarely appeared in front of the enemy. Void Scourge is an amazing technique that involves cracking the space and attacking the opponent. Void Gate is an amazing method that can open a small world and hide in the void without the golden gourd of the void. Vatican Great Brahma is a means to draw out the unique power of the void, allowing the other party to travel through the voids and imprison the other. But the most amazing of them is the Void Sky. This supreme powerful method can make a huge gap around the body and communicate with another void, allowing the other party's magic and spell power to directly enter this void, but it can't hit itself at all. This is also a true means of splitting the sky. It is already the same strong method of space as the of the sky, and it has surpassed the concept of general defensive spells. Even the strong method of the black epiphyllum obtained from the sky Bodhi is simply incomparable. Now Wei Suo is fully aware of this void sky in the Void Ancient. According to the records of the Void Ancient scriptures, this void sky has two major restrictions. One of the restrictions is cultivation, and it is necessary to cultivate more than 2 times of true immortals in order to be inspired. The other limitation is that this void sky requires an amazing amount of true yuan to be cast once. I am afraid that even if a true immortal has twice as much power, it will be emptied by half of the true yuan. Therefore, although Zantai Linglan broke through to the real immortal, he still couldn't control it. However, Wei Suo is different. He is a double god. After breaking through to the true immortal, whether it is from the thickness or the strength of the true yuan, it is far from the average monks of the true immortality. Can be inspired. As for the consumption of true yuan, even if it is impossible to cooperate with the ancient scriptures of the Mother Earth, Wei Suo now has no bottom hole, and the true yuan itself is several times that of the general true fairy. And his water emperor eats the sun, and can devour the amazing water demon to add true yuan at any time. This is also into the tangible with the invisible, into the void with the consciousness, evolve the law of vitality, and emit strong power, and the external real elements also evolve strong power at the same time. Soon, Wei Suo thoroughly understood this powerful method. This powerful method is similar in principle to Dongtian Zhenhuo. The difference is that Dongtian Zhenhuo is only a destructive power, but this technique is like forming a knife in the void first, outcut, and the power of the evolution of the true element outside, but also cut inward, communicate inside and outside. After cutting a gap, the power inside and outside is combined, and the gap is first fixed. Soon after realizing this most powerful method, the ruins of a big city appeared in Wei Suo's sight, lying like a wreck of a huge monster, lying quietly between heaven and earth. This is Xuanhuan city. After all the sky domes collapsed in the old days, a sect gate Yadongtian, which was originally located in the middle of Yunling continent, got great benefits in the 30 years of Xinyao, and became a Yunling continent. One of the most powerful sect gates, 70,000 miles away from the edge of the original sky dome of the Yunling continent, established a large city of Xuanhuan city. It was a monstrous meteorological phenomenon of a dying dragon gate. But what I did not expect was that years after the establishment of the city of Xuanhuan, we immediately ushered in the tide of annihilation of the beast, and it was completely destroyed. Instead, the monks of Xuanhuan's Dongtian, with the destruction of the city, none of them escaped. Now the Xuanhuan city is actually occupied by a group of extremely amazing 5-level high-level water monsters, the Black Water Storm Wolf. Such monsters as the Black Water Storm Wolf are extremely brutal. They are often a long-distance attack, attacking monks and even other monsters. Moreover, when you smell blood, you will be mad, and the combat power will increase. In addition, the Black Water Storm Wolf is eaten by most demon beasts. Many toxins in the demon pill are extremely difficult to make into a panacea, so most monks are it's a way to go away, not to provoke, according to the information provided by some monks of the Tianqian League. The Black Water Storm Wolf, do not know how many heads. If any chapter content is not displayed, please visit to read. Tip: you can search for 0.academy00sy or 00sy in Baidu to visit this site. The site address is. To facilitate reading this book next time, you can click Add Bookmark below to record this reading record, and you can directly read this chapter next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Remember that the more updates you share, the faster. Mobile phone users, please visit Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 1230. Lord Snowhawk. Dragon Legend. Super Soldier. Cultivation of Rain and Clouds. Budo Supreme. King Yanjai. My neighbor is a banshee. Xianmu Legend. Many. Wei Suo's current consciousness, without the aid of any other spells, can already cover an area of about 2,300 miles, but just 3,000 miles away from the ruins of Xuanhuan City. Can't help but frown. Underscore. On the periphery of the Xuanhuan City he had touched, he saw 600 or 700 Blackwater storm wolves. This Blackwater storm wolf is as small as a calf, with black hair all over the body like a steel needle, eyes are blood red, but a burst of black gas is sprayed from time to time. On the ground close to Xuanhuan City, it looks like there is no area of the ordinary wild wasteland, but under the sweep of Wei Suo's knowledge, it is unobstructed. The waist-deep grass is from it, and the broken bones in many places are paved. A layer of 2 or 3 feet thick. Among these broken bones, there are broken bones of monks, and many of them are broken bones of monsters. I don't know how many monks and monsters died in the mouth of these Blackwater storm wolves. Just before the sweep of Wei Suo's consciousness, there were dozens of Blackwater storm wolves tearing the bodies of several monks. The monks did not know where these Blackwater storm wolves were dragged from, but they were just soon after the fall, but in the blink of an eye, it has been torn into pieces of broken bones. This kind of violent and cruel, if you don't find it, it will find your demon. When Wei Suo was in Lingyu City before, he didn't want to see God when he prayed, and he died when he saw him. But for Wei Suo now, the more Blackwater storm wolves, the better. Wei Suo inspired the Xingyu League's beast of refuge, hiding his breath as much as possible, and regardless of the 600 or 700 Blackwater storm wolves outside the Xuanhuan City, he swept straight into the center of the ruins of Xuanhuan City. Among the ruins of Xuanhuan City, there are more Blackwater storm wolves. Wei Suo let go of his consciousness. The Blackwater storm wolves moving on the ground alone have exceeded 10,000. Roar. No temptation at all. As soon as I saw the monks escape, the whole Xuanhuan City was like a pot of hot porridge suddenly boiling, a Blackwater storm wolf, like tide, pouring from all directions towards Wei Suo. Oh! 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 Wei Suo landed directly on a broken wall on the ground, motionless, and a dark golden sword breathed out ceaselessly. It's hard to imagine how fast a monk's spellcasting speed can be. It's just a few breaths. In the void, the dark golden sword gas is flying everywhere. It was completely locked to the extreme precision. The Blackwater storm wolf who was close to Wei Suo within 500 feet was the first to be killed. The Blackwater storm wolf outside the area of 500 feet is nothing, but as soon as it enters the range of 500 feet, it is instantly punctured by a dark golden sword gas hole and burst out of the air. Blood mist flew out. In just a dozen breaths, it seemed that a circular crater was formed around Wei Suo, and the Blackwater storm wolf he killed piled up into a circular wall. Roar. The blood flowed horizontally. Under the stimulation, these ill-advised Blackwater storm wolves had a unique madness, and the whole body swelled up, and the body was even twice as large as before. The black skin and fur they even glowed red. Oh! Seeing the appearance of these Blackwater storm wolves, Wei Suo stretched out his hand and took a picture. I saw a group of glories under the pressure of dozens of egg-sized black demon directly from the Blackwater storm he was photographed. The wolf body spewed out of his mouth. With the sound of boom, a breath of water rushed out of the top of his head, and the black demon pill, the size of dozens of eggs, was all wrapped up, and then Wei Suo's body opened, as if there were countless mouths spitting out. The miscellaneous and unfavorable spirit spurred out. Very good, it's really boring, so I still want to bite me. When I saw this, the black water wolves around me didn't stop. It was still changing, and the blood flashed more violently. Wei Suo suddenly smiled, while continuing to kill these blackwater storm wolves, while constantly capturing the body of the blackwater storm wolf, took out the demon, and practiced directly. Originally, Wei Suo was also worried about his breath, scaring away these monsters, but now these monsters and animals became mad and had nothing to do with it, but instead saved him a lot of hands and feet. While killing these monsters and taking the pill cultivation, it is as simple as taking the pill cultivation directly from the Nabeo. So much. In just a moment, Wei Suo had already beheaded at least thousands of black water storm wolves. At the same time, he refined the toxins and arrogant energy emitted by the black water storm wolf demon, which had also formed outside his body. A thick black poisonous cloud was as thick as dripping oil. If it weren't for the black water storm wolf itself to be resistant to these toxins and unfavorable energy, otherwise this circle of poison clouds alone, these black water storm wolf could not rush in at all. After killing thousands of blackwater storm wolves, the number of blackwater storm wolves is quite a lot. The whole underground of the Xuanhuan city is roaring continuously, and a group of black shadows constantly rushed out of the cave. It turned out that these black water storm wolves are cave giants. Most of them are usually in caves. The total number of them adds up. I am afraid that there are at least nearly 30,000 heads. Originally, Wei Suo still adhered to the principle of not wasting at all. I thought that ordinary monks now have relatively few resources in the monastic world because of the difficulty in hunting. I want to put away the bodies of these blackwater storm wolves as well as possible. There are also uses. But as soon as he saw such a large number, he was very irritable and could not bear it. I saw a loud bang, a horrible blue-black claw burst out of Wei Suo's body, a few feet in size, and grabbed suddenly within 2,000 miles of the circle, and the captured black water storm wolf directly burst. Has become a blue and black ice chips, only Yaden left. A catch is a handful of at least 50 or 60 demon pill. This time is almost destructive. Wei Suo Xuan's ghost claw slammed, and I feel that I have not caught the addiction at all. In addition to the sound of rain, the world has quieted down, and only a few hundreds of black water storm wolves are still in their bodies. Red light, rushing over unclear. However, Wei Suo is really a bit boring. I don't know how there are so many weird and entertaining thoughts in the mind of this small merchant in Lingyu City. If Ling Longtian and others saw it at this time, they must have struck his heart. At this time, I saw that there were only a few hundred blackwater storm wolves left, and Wei Suo still had a lot of blackwater storm wolf demon refining while refining, but on the other hand, he smiled and wanted to see these blackwater storm wolves. What kind of expression did he bite when he couldn't bite? So he stopped casting spells and didn't deal with these blackwater storm wolves, just kept refining the demon pill. Ka, the two blackwater wolves, much larger than Weizhuo, bite on Weizhuo almost at the same time. But the two blackwater storm wolves immediately appeared dizzy, not only all the teeth collapsed, but even the head seemed to be stunned. Haha. Weizhuo Le broke down. All the black water storm wolves rushed up, and all their teeth collapsed, becoming a toothless old lady who was still biting. However, he did not maintain such bad taste for a long time. This black water storm wolf is really crazy, and all of them can't help but want to spray out the demon pill. In order to avoid these dizzy black water storm wolf self-explosion demon pill, Wei Suo only Suanchi Yin Chi once again volume, these black water storm wolf all solved. Next, Wei Suo, full of self-entertainment, collected all the intact bodies of the blackwater storm wolf, rolled up all the remaining demon pill, and headed towards the next destination. After all, the water demon pill of the black water storm wolf has been refined, Wei Suodong's virtual footwork swept wildly, but after a scent of incense, it reached a huge swamp. This is the Yunyan's land, which was originally close to the sky dome of the Yunling continent, and there are not many powerful beasts, but now in this Zed land, it has already been occupied by the leader Qing Xiao. The green dragon is a large demon ancient monster that appeared in the monk's site after the tide of annihilation of the world. There are few records in the ancient books of the monastery world. The strength of this monster is only 5 low level, but it is extremely fierce, and each one is more than 10 feet long. The head is similar to the dragon head, but the body is like a green Jiao body. Dear leader Qing Xiao, please use demon pill. As soon as it fell over this piece of land, Wei Suo was very entertained and screamed. Just screamed twice, and only listened to the strange cries of ang, and ang. A huge column of mud rushed out of the ground, and huge dragons, green dragons, grumbled. The mud rushed out of the depths. Haha, don't be so fierce. Wei Suo suddenly opened his eyes and smiled, because he had found that at least 300 or 400 green dragons rushed out of the ground, and the number was quite large. Boom! 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 However, this dragon was not like the black water storm wolf, like to bite close up, and once rushed out, a huge blue water column rushed out of the mouth, just like a giant arrow shot toward Wei Suo. Don't waste the demon power, it's all mine. At the sight of the appearance of these leading green xiaos, Wei Suo was immediately depressed. With a loud sound, he saw a golden power grid covering at least thousands of square meters, and he directly rushed out nearly 100. All the green dragons of the dragon's head were sprayed with smoke, and twisted in the air. Based on Wei Suo's current practice, the use of such low-level golden snakes is no longer able to resist this level of monsters. Want to run? Wei Suo immediately rejoiced again, because the IQ of these leading green jiaos was obviously much higher than that of the black water storm wolf, but Wei Suo was only that blow, and the rest of the leading green jiaos were scared down. Drilled, and Wei Suo was countless golden lightnings chopping down, and Suancha ghost claws were also scrambled down, and they would be caught out by the green dragon, a dragon that was so immobile. This pulls out every dragonfly from the muddy ground, but it is like pulling a radish, makes Weizhuo feel very fun. Pulling carrots, it's fun. Wei Suo sang very violently. If Ling Longtian was here, I am afraid that he would kick it. And he continued to display various thunder tactics, so that the swamp of 2,000 and hundreds of miles was blasted into a sea of thunder. All the dragonflies and green dragons could not hide at all, and all of them were captured by him. Got up. After nearly 2,000 heads of green dragons swept away, Wei Suo kept crossing the void, but he rushed all the way to the central part of Yunling mainland, near the mountain gate of the original natural sect. Under another scream of ghosts, the densely populated cold water raven flew out again, then was the Tianshan gate of Xiaoqing cave in Yunling continent. As he traveled all the way, it was simply a catastrophe of the monsters in the water system of the monster world. When he continued to hunt 3 or 4 batches of an amazing number of water monsters in a row, and arrived near the original Guangfa Tiangong mountain gate, Wei Suo, who was still refining the last batch of Bibo giant spider demon Dan, suddenly felt his own in the body. All the real elements are tempting, and there seems to be a feeling of completely changing and transforming into something else. It's going to be a fairy. Wei Suo suddenly knew that he was going to be a real immortal soon. If any chapter content is not displayed, please visit to read. Tip: you can search for 0.academy00sy or 00sy in Baidu to visit this site. The site address is. To facilitate reading this book next time, you can click Add Bookmark below to record this reading record, and you can directly read this chapter next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Remember that the more updates you share, the faster. Mobile phone users please visit